Hi, welcome to Mike and Nami Plus, and today I have a special guest, Rayhan.
Hi, how are you guys doing?
He's been in a 2-year relationship.
It's actually going to be on May 18th. It's kind of cool because I remember it now because before I used to forget all the time. So.
It took 2 years. This is a survey done by these guys. One of the questions asked, if you secretly want your friends to be jealous about a guy you've caught, would you rather they be jealous that he's a good-looking guy or just a great guy? 77% chose that they'd rather be jealous that he's such a great guy.
That's interesting. I thought like when it comes to like first glances or like meetings and stuff like that, I thought like the presentation of yourself just mattered so much, right? Like I like some people actually extract values from how you dress, and just sometimes how you dress embodies a lot of your values, right? It's like, or what you're interested in. Like, let's say you're interested in a certain type of band, and like you're wearing their shirt, and like they people connect.
I gained a lot of weight after meeting Nami.
Really?
I gained 50 pounds actually.
No way.
I started getting lazy about how I dressed, but I realized that it does make a huge difference in the relationship. It's not about really yourself. If you dress nice, if you're going to like an outing or something, you dress nice for the respect or the love of your partner.
Diana really does that a lot. Oh, to like give more context, Diana is my girlfriend. Yeah. She actually puts in a lot of effort, and for a long time I didn't really consider how hard she works and how much time she puts in to actually presenting herself to me. So like throughout the relationship, in the course of 2 years, I actually learned like to appreciate it.
Okay, this is another survey here. Many guys believe that there aren't really rational reasons when a girl's attitude, actions, or words change from day to day. Which of the following is true of you? So this is how the woman responded. 87% says, in most cases, even if a guy doesn't see it, there is a reason if I say or do things differently. And if my feelings have changed, there's a reason for that too. So therefore, feelings are reasons. There's always a reason behind a feeling, and there's always a person behind a feeling.
So I think for a long time I was exclusively at just that part. Yeah, and like my actions, how it might reflect on how they feel. Like until you pointed out to me that her feelings were also rational, because for for relationships to survive, you have to actually understand their feelings are rational.
Something that Nami told me is, no one can tell you the way you feel is wrong. So I can never tell Nami, in this situation you shouldn't be feeling like this. I can't say that. Yeah. And I think I've said that a few times, like insensitively. It leads to an argument that we have to kind of address.
I actually did that many times. I don't know. It's just really hard to dispute things like that, because half the time when someone feels what they feel is just sometimes they misunderstand. When it comes to like disputing arguments, or like when there's like a lot of emotions flying around in relationships, what I've noticed that they really lash onto a certain topic that you somehow had no ill intent, right? Like let's say you're talking about something and you said something the wrong way, and they would really deliberately establish intent on that specific topic, and they would vilify you and hold you responsible till you lose.
Even if it was something like 1 year ago.
Or things like
you bring
that.
It up again. Remember that time, and it's still an issue that is affecting them in a feeling, and they express it. And it still has to be resolved. It's interesting because in times like that, I find that it's not an attempt to like break you down or attack you and hate you as a person. But it's more an attempt to express that she wants to be understood.
Well, yeah, but I agree.
But it's hard.
It's hard.
It's hard. It has to be dealt, between each person's relationship. It has to be shared. Like, I'm hearing that you're feeling upset because of A, B, and C, and this is what happened. What can I do to help or better understand? And then maybe onwards you can say, okay, thank you for that. Would you like to hear some more from how I felt? Like for me, I felt like maybe disrespected about A, B, and C. Okay. Kind of that kind of strategic.
Yeah, that's more reasonable rather than, especially when they're like starting off in the relationship. It's like a ego measuring contest of like who can hurt each other more.
Right.
And it's such an absurd situation.
That is absurd.
Yeah, that is
Hold
an
on, you get into
situation.
a relationship and then all of a sudden it's an ego contest of who can hurt each other more?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's very common in like young relationships now.
Yeah, I think that's selfish desires, right? Like, I want to be desired. I'm not going to be the first one to say sorry.
Yeah, it's so common, man. Even amongst friendships, like it's so common that
right.
too. Yeah.
Sometimes we can't ask, what's the reason you feel this way? Because the feeling is the reason. It's kind of like asking, what is the reason you reason this way? It could make sense in the context, but sometimes prior to asking what is the reason you're feeling this way is, how are you feeling? I'm all ears. I just want to listen. I just want to understand you. That's it. It's just to be understood more than, okay, let's break it down. What's A, B, and C in your issue, in your emotion? It's a different approach. And I think that's what I learned through speaking with Nami. It's my approach of trying to compartmentalize everything, but sometimes issues or feelings or emotions can't be compartmentalized. Everything is connected like a spaghetti bowl. It's hard. Cool. I can't always expect an answer when I ask things like, why do you feel this way? Because sometimes she doesn't know why. What made you feel this way? Well, sometimes she doesn't know what made her feel that way. Definitely you don't want to say, what's wrong with you?
Oh.
you want to stay away from that one. Yeah.
Big time. Yeah, regardless of like if the person has an understanding approach. Sure, there's good timing and bad timing, but like I think you should always express how you feel, without them asking.
Right.
Because if there's a problem that needs to be addressed, I think it should be addressed right away without like hoping for an understanding approach and them asking you, how is everything okay? Which should be a regular question anyway.
So you're more direct. If you sense something is wrong, you just...
I would prefer that because I'm oblivious to social cues.
Don't embarrass her, especially regarding anything to do with her mood or appearance.
I did that a few times. Like, I didn't really know she would take it personally, right?
Right.
But it turns out, like, there was this one point where she just completely stopped wearing this certain type of shoes that she liked because I made fun of her shoes.
Oh.
Like, that's how severe it used to be, right? And I felt horrible.
Never ask her if she's on her period. Especially if you're not even dating. Like, another principle is talk with your ears, listen with your heart.
Talk with your ears.
So we have one mouth, 2 ears. We should be listening twice as much as we should be speaking.
Oh, nice, yeah.
Be a good listener because your ears will never get you in trouble.
If you're thinking of a response to what the person is saying, you're not really listening. Right? So, like, it helped me quite a bit because...
That's right.
Before, I was actually listening and thinking of a response. I wasn't really listening, right? Right? So...
Wow, that's insightful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I am guilty of that sometimes too. I'm like, okay, yeah, and I'm like, I'm gonna say this next. Yeah, and it's like, yes. And I'm like, but yeah to her means I'm listening, but when yeah to me, continue on, finish what you're saying because I want to say what I want to say.
Exactly. So it's like you're so
true.
entitled to the response you're about to get, right? Like
you gotta break that down,
always.
Yeah. The last section of this book I found was really interesting. It talks about how sex changes everything in the relationship, and like there's an entire chapter dedicated to it. But I think one thing for us guys, for us to know, is that when a guy pressures a girl for sex, her respect for him goes down. And I think that principle kind of stays true.
I think so too.
When you're forcing or pressuring, whether it be directly or kind of indirectly, you'll never have that kind of respect that is actually more valuable than the experience of sex. And I think that's something that many guys need to know before getting into a relationship, is that if you're trying to pressure and force or manipulate, then you lost it. Yeah,
100%. I think people like my age, who are young men, well, like our throughout our age range, I think many of them just really just value sex a lot. Like, and I think that's one of the primary reasons a lot of people actually do get into relationships, because it's just the sex.
Right.
Right. But I'm not too sure. I'm not an expert on that. But from what I've seen, many guys do, like, they really like the idea of sex.
Right.
With like just the opposite gender. So like.
Right.
Or just the same gender.
I mean, it's nothing new. It's been
a thing for a while, right? So,
as long as guys have been around.
But it's just I don't think that's the point of a relationship. I think you might as well just not be in a relationship and just have sex.
Right. A relationship is a lot more than sex.
I think relationships should just lead to like marriage or long-term relationships, like common law marriage, whatever.
Right.
I think that's what the point of a relationship is. And if the sex is like a big part of the relationship, you're just gonna be bored. You're gonna be very bored,
right?
Because like, if sex is the main purpose, you're gonna have to constantly come up with something new, because stuff like that gets old very fast. What do you think? Like when it comes to like, I didn't mean to say sex with the same person gets super boring. I didn't mean it like that. You know, I think a lot of people are gonna take it out of context. You know?
Right. Yeah.
So
that's a good question.
Yeah. It's like I think sex with the same person doesn't really get boring, but if it's the first priority for doing anything, like masturbating, right?
Right.
Like if that's like, sex it doesn't really become intimate throughout the relationship. It just becomes like a quick thing.
Right.
Right.
So in a relationship, it's
if that's the first priority.
A lot of us are unprepared, or we're just ignorant or unmentored in approaching a relationship, because relationship, there is a physical union, there's a spiritual union, there's a economical union, there's a like financial, there's a spatial, there's like a familial, there's a social, there's an emotional. It's layered upon so many different connections. And if you're in that relationship just for the sex, there's no such thing as a no strings attached kind of hookup.
Yeah.
Because the moment you engage in something like that, there's emotions, there's a spiritual connection. If you make it about you, you'll never really have anything at all.
Right. I meant bored in the context of like when sex is like the first priority, like of the relationship. It's just always just to like focus on sex, right? Like people, like they do relationships like friends with benefits,
right?
And it's just the sole purpose of it is just sex, right?
Right.
Eventually, like from what I've heard from my friends, and they have heard from other people, it's just they get bored, right? Because it's nothing else. It's just sex, and they get bored with each other. Like if it's that's not a relationship, but if they are using the relationship for that purpose with just a girl, and they are just looking to have sex, I don't think it's going to go very far. It's just it's like a small thing, right? But I do agree. I am a very big fan of monogamy. Like we should choose a partner to.
I think it goes a bit deeper than boredom sometimes. I think it creates a bigger emptiness and loneliness, and we try to keep fulfilling that gap with something else to occupy that loneliness or emptiness. Thanks for your time. Thank you for sharing. We do have an affiliate link in the description below if you are interested in seeing more about this book. All right, so I'll see you again.